with Faraz Shaukat.
And a jolly good morning to you. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And to discuss the report card of this government, joining me is my friend, my colleague, the host of Patikada, Mr. Bandula Jayasekar. Very good morning.
Good morning, Shaukat.
And how on earth are you?
Yeah, good. You know,
How do you do it? You get up terribly early, and your program Patikada broadcasts at what, 6 o'clock?
6 to 6:30. Yeah.
Is that on Sirasa?
Sirasa.
On Sirasa.
And you're on the sister channel TV1.
And we are on the other channel, TV1, TV Eka.
TV Eka.
Indeed. Now then, Bandula, it's just over a year since this parliament was elected. 1.5 years since the Parliament government came into being. And I thought I'll give you this. This is a sort of...
You have done a report card, though.
It's kind of the 11 things that I can sort of find that is always in the news. Shall I tell you what they are?
Yes.
The central bank bond scandal, one, because that happened first. That happened in February. They came into power
During that 100-day
yes,
period?
in the first 100 days.
They did, yeah.
So there we had the bond, okay? Then we had the road contracts, the awarding of the highways contracts. Then we have the coal purchase controversy. Then we have the lack or otherwise of the investigations they promised us against people in the previous administration. They promised to look into all the fraud and the corruption and to hold people accountable and responsible. So that was that. Then we had a report from the global financial integrity people that suggested that 1.2 trillion, that's with a T, 1.2 trillion rupees had left this country up to 2009, I think it was, and it had left with, not within the banking system, but it had been over-invoiced, under-invoiced, whatever you call it, but 1.2.
Say in single hora paring.
Yes.
From the back door.
From the back door. Yes. Then, of course, we had this marvelous thing where they tried to impose VAT on us. They thought that we weren't looking, but luckily, the president was looking. And so the president has put his foot down and said, no additional burden. Go and work your sums out again and come back. So that was the VAT. Then we had this atrocious system of the taxes, one-off taxes, super gains taxes. They had mansion taxes. They had all sorts of jolly things, right? Then we had another controversy. It was about the car permits. We had ministers come here and tell us that they agreed with us and said, yes, well, we're looking at it. But they didn't do any such thing. All of them.
But there, it's not only the government, even the opposition. Everybody is united.
All of them. 225.
The opposition, the joint opposition, even though they shout, when it comes to their perks and other facilities, they all speak as one.
Then we had all this palaver with the customs. Then we had the odd situation where the so-called champion of democracy, and I think at one stage the vice president of the International Democratic Union or some such outfit, the Prime Minister, he has been in the habit of naming and literally shaming journalists and taking to task editors who are not writing editorials according to some vision that our dear Prime Minister has. And then we have murder most foul. Wasim Tajuddin. We're still a long way off from finding out what happened to that. And that is so terrible, how that young boy lost his life. And at least to give his family a modicum of closure, at least that we've failed so far. Then we have the most recent case of this murder of a businessman who's kidnapped. So that is not part of.
Yeah, but what about the famous the coal issue?
And the coal, 710 million rupees bundle, and the Supreme Court took issue. They said that the standing cabinet-appointed committee had, by their actions, rendered this entire transaction null and void.
And the appointment of lobbyists,
yes,
the same thing.
And the appointment of lobbyists. We have a minister who comes in Parliament and says that he is a champion of the freedom of speech and media freedom and all that business. But it comes out almost like a threat, like a warning.
But for us, why do you think they have failed? Because, okay, the people give a mandate,
yes,
change the government, change the leadership, and then why do you think they have failed? Starting from the bond issue.
Well, I think we have to bear in mind that it has been presented almost as though it is right, but it is wrong. It is not right. It has been presented as though that this bond matter, that the proceeds went to the funding of a political agenda of a mainstream party.
Is there proof?
There is no proof, of course. Of course,
people
not.
are saying it.
But the reluctance on the part of COPE, and yes, we'll have to say late on the doorstep of COPE. How much better would it have been if it was the Prime Minister who, at the time, instead of appointing his rather dodgy committee, dodgy in the sense that everybody knew that they were UNP lawyers, so it was rather a joke. But even though that was the perception, even that committee, to be fair to Gamini and the other two, to be fair to them, they did call for an investigation of that company, owned by the family of the governor's son-in-law, Mahendran's son-in-law. Right. So, how much better would it have been, Bandla, if the Prime Minister had said, right, you know, there's a lot of concern, we're going to have a forensic audit of that firm's transactions at that time when we put it out, when the media were agitated and, brought the matters out. In March 2015, if they had done a forensic audit, they would have found out all the details.
But for us, okay, they came into power saying that they are going to weed out corruption, there will be transparency, but it isn't happening. So finally, we people are being taken for a ride by all politicians.
Exactly.
Then and now.
But Bandula, I think they ought to remember. I think one of the greatest mistakes that the Rajapaksa government made, and led by President Mahinda at the top, was that they forgot to look behind, look over their shoulders from time to time. It's like driving and you're automatically looking at your rear mirror, your side mirrors, you're aware of what's happening around you. And they seem to have forgotten that, and they seem to think they were going on forever.
And this government have forgotten it, too early. It's too fast.
And this government appears to have forgotten the same thing. The people will only tolerate so much. The war victory, that band was hammered so much, and it was like in the old days, when we used to play the records, and it was scratched, and it was,
making odd noises.
Yes,
yeah.
And it makes odd noises, and it plays the same thing, right? So it was like a scratched record, and the people tired of that. We're not taking anything away, obviously. The war victory was essential, but when you keep going on and on and on, it was being used as a blanket to cover other things, and as we found out, we're being treated to. This government came in on a series of allegations against the others, but nothing has happened.
And what we see is now a sort of a circus.
It is, and they're all clowns, because a circus, an integral component of a circus are the clowns.
But also,
And the wild
don't you think
animals.
that they are together in lots of these things? I mean, people have lost faith, whether be it the government or the opposition.
Indeed, they have. It's a sad state, actually, because they've promised so many things, Mandela, and hardly anything has happened. Their own advisor, the chairman of the Institute of Policy Studies,
Professor
Razin Saleh, described the budgets as two disastrous budgets, and he bemoaned the fact that we had gone back to price controls, which apparently we left behind with the ascendancy of J.R. Jayawardena as the president of Sri Lanka. You know, so we seem to have gone backwards.
And for us, how do you see, I want to get your view, how do you see now young Navin Dissanayake threatening to resign if the government or the Minister of Finance takes those funds?
Well, I think that is the only way that he can do it, because, you know, these people, the others, are just going roughshod over that. Oh, we'll have that. I mean, forget you. So then what's the point of having a minister if you're not letting him get on with it?
Yeah, but that is the fund to develop the tea industry.
Exactly. It is not to pay for some other nonsense where they, you know, because obviously they had a problem. They didn't think this properly, and they are unable to implement the VAT increase. That is because they just didn't think of doing it properly. And now the Prime Minister says it's stepmotherly treatment. No, Bandula. The stepmotherly treatment is being meted out to the people, not to the VAT bill.
But for us, again, if they cut down on the expenses, take the vehicles, the luxury cars to serve the people of this country,
Yeah.
they cut down on all these, I'm sure they can save lots of money.
Of course they can. Of course. And you're absolutely right. It's the same people wearing a different hat. That's what it is. When this government came in January 2015, and after the appointment of the Prime Minister, so on, a British journalist asked me, he called me and said, what do you think? Do you think it's going to be new wine from a whole new vineyard, new bottles, new labels, the lot, a whole new industry? I said, Ben, you must be joking. I said, it's going to be the same wine in a slightly different bottle, and that's all it is. And you know, it might not be wine, but it's the same old thing.
And also, it's sad to say that everybody is trying to protect their political party. I don't think people are interested about the political party.
Yes.
They want their problem solved.
Of course they do. I'm getting some. I'm getting some comments, and here's one. There is a saying: "The known devil is better than an unknown angel." And it says the media keep shouting, but they don't care, and that's about right, because that's the one thing that they've done is that. We would probably have been unable to have this conversation in the last law because we would have been shouted down or white man and all sorts of things. But in this period we are able to make a noise and make a difference, and they let us get on with whatever it is. But the real the corruption and the abuse of due process is carrying on.
But we can't give up. Even then, the media didn't give up.
No, we
didn't give
certainly not break.
And
give
even
up.
this, right now also media cannot give up.
They can't.
And we, like you always say, we are the real opposition.
We are indeed. We are the people's channel. We can't give up. The consequences of the media giving up would be absolutely horrendous. And the people who are texting us and saying, well, make a lot of noise, but nothing's going to change, for want of a better word, it's Captain Skeptical. Don't be so skeptical.
Then we have to keep on putting pressure.
We have to keep on putting on the pressure.
Yeah, like if you look at the previous governor, okay, President Rajapaksa was there, nobody thought you could bring him down. because due to pressures, the media, and he lost. The same thing can happen.
Yes. I've got this thing here. I'm going to have to read it out because it's a bit involved, right? Recently, People's Bank have got into controversy regarding a software purchase, which is mentioned in an article. We will, of course, be taking up this issue because we are now we are looking into it, and we hope to bring all the news on that matter. This is a 700 million potential controversy. We're looking to see the papers have been full of it, and obviously we too have been given this, and we're looking into it, and as the days roll out, we will be bringing you, the people, it's after all the People's Bank, we'll be giving you more details on that. So, Bandula, what do you think? You were close to the operation of the last administration. What do you think personally? Do you notice any real change?
Like you said, okay, there is a freedom of speech we have to appreciate.
Yeah.
That's something very important.
Indeed.
But that also, during the previous government, also the freedom of speech, that when it started, it was there.
Indeed.
So as things go on, things can change.
On that note, let's come back after this short break and discuss the state of affairs in our wonderful island, Sri Lanka. One nation, one country. Join us back on Newsline after this break.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline, live from Dawson Street in Colombo, joined by Bandula Jayasekara. And actually, an avid viewer of this program has pointed out that there is in fact one noticeable change, and that is that Bandula Jayasekara has joined us. So we're very happy that you've joined us.
And so is Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Absolutely.
What about it?
Yes.
But also to add to that, I can say that I'm not trying to harp on it, but you can still fight within the system. I mean, I have been wrong, but I fought within the system.
Right.
That's what you can do.
Indeed.
It's not, there are lots of people, even right now, there are officials who have fought within the system. Then some people have moved out.
Yeah.
Some people can't move out because they are scared. Now take the case of Dr. Sumit Pilapitiya, who was Director General Wildlife. There are people who have moved out.
Yeah.
So that's something very important. You can.
And you're right. Some people have been moved out because they did a bit of whistleblowing. Take the case of that wonderful lady in charge of the Public Debt Department,
who's at the Minister of Information now.
That's right, and now there's sort of they've had a perverse pleasure just because she took up a stance and discovered that she actually did have a backbone and a spine, and she took a stance against the governor of the central bank at the time and said, no, we're not doing 20 billion, you'll ruin the economy. And then he said, oh well, all right, do 10 billion.
And sometimes also I want to ask you.
And so she's transferred out.
Yeah, she's
But
there.
Mr. Somasari, the deputy governor of the central bank, and the chairman of the auction committee is still there. So what's going on? They're just trying to paint a lovely rosy picture.
And I really don't know whether you have the answer. Just imagine when Lalit Wiratung, who was the secretary to the president at that time, when his wife was removed, did she resign or from the Securities Exchange? What happened there?
She couldn't hack it because there was so much of interference, and she was an independent lady.
And how now she's she's heading some committee or some corporation. Just imagine how the secretary to the president, his wife, was removed. How would he have felt?
That's right. And we also have this odd situation where the governor of the central bank is actually a public official, and public officials cannot take decisions that will knowingly result in a loss to the people of the country. That's an offence under Section 70 of the Bribery Act. So we now notice yesterday that the former Defence Secretary, for all whatever good things that he did or didn't and whatever it is, the fact is now they are being taken to court on the avant-garde matter. Well, that's a bit rich, because it's the same government who are bringing charges against them and who are continuing to ignore the activities of Mr. Arjuna Mahendran at the central bank. We have independent people who worked out, Bandula, that the profits made by the bond scam is about 10 billion rupees. So for somebody to make 10 billion rupees, somebody lost 10 billion.
Yeah.
And I'll don't mind taking a wager with you that 10 billion loss has been made by the EPF, by the people's money. We see you've got an interesting message.
Yeah, so I mean, viewer is saying Malik, who broke traditions, entertained the flow, is now a minister.
Of course, Malik Samaravikrama had no locus standi, as it were, and he attended a meeting in which the requirement of state funding was being discussed.
Yeah.
What is his speciality that he had to be at that meeting?
Yeah.
What was he doing there? And is it a qualification that you are a friend of the Prime Minister and something about being an advisor? Come on.
Yeah.
Who are they fooling? Who are they fooling? You were a friend of the former president. He didn't have you sitting in on...
I wouldn't say a friend. I worked with him.
Yes, but...
So you can't, I mean, the friends are different.
Okay.
I worked.
But I mean, he didn't take you to sit in on some meeting where they were discussing state funding. There
are other people, and it's very interesting. I'm really, going to, write, a person who's known, I mean, maybe I should not mention, he said, I'm going to be very open about it. How can you sit there and say the things that you say? A very short memory that you have, right? But I want to answer, right? And so they also have short memories.
Indeed.
Right? I can say without any fear, we didn't make money, right?
Yes.
And I have fought within the system, right?
Yes.
So that's the situation.
So one of the viewers is saying, Bandula is always smiling and is asking me to smile, but honestly I find it rather difficult to smile when I am met with this blessed report card. It is a veritable indictment on this government, on this Prime Minister who's supposed to be leading us. And there was so much of expectation that instead of smiling, I want to cry.
And
go on, very quickly.
Well, what about that debate with Sajin and Malik Samaravikrama? Are we going to facilitate that?
We'll have to think about it.
The PR, the lobbies, public relations debate.
About it. We will think and how best to bring it in. But it's, airtime is very valuable. We're not willing to barter that value.
You might want to charge them.
No, but we may find some other more interesting things to do. We don't know. We haven't ruled it out. We'll see. Obviously, we haven't heard from Mr. Malik Samaravikrama. Even though he says he does answer his phone, well, all the proof is here. I've got the records.
Make sure you have the backup.
I do. I have backed it up and it's safely on another phone. So even if they nick this, But no, we've got more important things to do. In the meantime, we've got to take a break. Don't go away, because this is Newsline, and who knows what we're going to say next. Join us again after this break.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And welcome back to Newsline, live with Bandula Jayasekara this morning. Bandula, do you think that people in this government might end up in jail just the way that some people from the other government, not in jail, but at least they've been...
They'll be in and out of FCID, the Bribery Commission, they'll be in and out.
Maybe that's why they got the FCID brand new
But for
office.
us, this is a club. Politicians will protect themselves.
Yes, it's
They will not compromise on their pensions. They will take it. They will not compromise on their vehicles.
That's
It's the
right.
clubs. They will protect each other.
That's right.
That's what they will do. They will continue to do that.
And I think that's why, you see, we had this information that the police department, that Sagar Ratnayaka, the Minister of Law and Order, well, I don't know, is he the minister or is he the deputy minister?
He is the minister.
Is
right?
he? I thought it was
You
Ranil
think-
who's the minister.
You think otherwise?
No,
Yeah.
I thought that he was... all right, well, he's the minister.
No, but again, coming the Prime Minister asked now, he has made inquiries or asked for explanation on this Olympic thing.
Well,
So
that's
he's-
a good thing.
Yeah, he's
That's
doing
good.
some good things.
As well, yes, we're not saying, the difference, let's get this right. We want the bad things changed. We're
Not that you're
asking-
angry with the Prime Minister.
Oh,
right?
it's nothing personal.
That's
Who
why you
wants to
call
be
him
angry?
Dear Prime Minister,
Yes,
because he's your
yes.
friend, right?
Yes, and I mean, we're all tolerant of all the different clubs that he belongs to and so on. That's fine. We Flowered Club, Commonwealth Club, whatever club it is, Colombo Club, I don't know. But, we're worried about that. All we want is for him to deliver upon his promises. And if he can't do that, well, he must take a stance on that. But we don't want ministers to come and sort of lecture us and issue warnings and so on, because we don't take too kindly to that sort of thing. It's a different breed.
Kindness is not weakness.
That's right. Then that must be noted. Bandula, during the court proceedings, we had the former governor who maintained that he did not enter the trading floor, the auction where the auction was taking place. That is contrary to what the other officials have now disclosed. And isn't it a tragedy, a complete shame that this person, who the president of this country, elected by the people, by the way, with a good majority, didn't deem it fit to give him a new contract, and yet this man is being flaunted around with the Prime Minister. I don't know whether he's gone to Singapore with him this time as well. We don't know that. But it's troubling. What do you think people will say? Well, we have this agency for development. Yes, they have spoken about it in cabinet and so on, but there's no act. It hasn't come into law, but we have the office.
The
If you go to the
President
World
should
Trade Center,
intervene.
you'll see the
President
office.
should intervene.
Well, the President has got a lot of things to do, and so, you can't expect him to get into every bit and piece,
Yeah.
but he will act strategically.
And also it's very interesting, we must say it on TV.
Yes, say
I
it.
got a text from Sajin Vasgunawardena. He's threatening me.
Oh,
These
is he?
days, one of these days, I will expose you with evidence. Let's see. This is a threat, and I'm saying it on live television by Sajin Vasgunawardena.
Right. On that note, we appear to have come to the end of this wonderful 30 minutes. But it's good that people are watching and that they are
And
reacting.
threatening also.
Well, they are reacting.
Yeah.
It's good. It means that we must be doing some things right.
Yeah.
Bandula Jayasekara, thank you for an entertaining 30 minutes on Nearby. Are you off to the hairdressers now?
Yeah. Next week.
Oh, next week. Wonderful. Thank you for watching Newsline. It's been great having you with us. Take care, have a great weekend, and we'll see you all over again starting on Monday, 7 o'clock. This is Newsline. Take care. God bless.